Yes, good morning all. Whether my audio is clear?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay, thank you. Probably I'm seeing you after IA. After so many days, there is a lot of gap due to your aptitude trainings and second internals. We have missed around 5 classes according to me. So anyways, let us cover up that, not an issue. So today I'll be continuing with the Java networking things. I think in the last class I had started what is networking and I had covered what are different ports, okay, what all called as sockets, okay. Up to this point we had covered in the previous class. Now I'll be going ahead in the discussion. So probably in the last class I had asked about TCP and UDP. Okay, this was the thing. Just 1 minute. Yeah. So we had stopped at this point. If I'm not wrong, please let me know from your end. And I had,
Yes, ma'am.
I had covered what is TCP, what is UDP. Okay, all those things were covered in the previous class. So I had stopped at the point where we talked about what is called as port and what is called as socket. Okay. Uh, so let me just cover up what is socket and then go ahead. Fine. So port decides the kind of protocol that you are using. In that kind of protocol that you are using, at a time more than one more than one end user may be using the same port number or the same protocol. In order to have the distinction established between the things, between the users who are working at the same time on the same port, we have something called as socket. Socket, normally it is a unique number that you get whenever you have a communication running at that moment. As soon as the communication between the two ends, the socket number will be released so that it is useful for some other users for the different kind of communication on the same port. Okay, so socket numbers can be any number above 1000. Okay, because any number between 1 and 1000 are useful for the factory usage. It means what? The developers, they use it. So above 1000, any number if you give, it is taken as user defined socket number. Okay, so with this background which we had discussed in the previous class, I will just continue. Now we have something called as internet address, the address that specifies or the address that tells who is who. Okay, um, internet address contains specifically two parts in it. One is called as the network ID and the other called as the host ID. When I speak about network ID and host ID, I am speaking about 4 octets, or I call it as IP address. Okay, internet protocol address. So IP address can be either IPv4 format or IPv6 format. If you have IPv4 format, there has to be upper compatibility with IPv6. If you are going ahead with IPv6, you have to have a lower compatibility with IPv4. Okay, so all those things we will not bother about. What I'll be concentrating on is what is important for me. That only thing I'll be taking, because all the other things will be covered in the networking, computer networks. Okay, so these all things you know already. I'll just skip all these things. This is what is I was speaking about backward compatible or upper compatible. Then we have something called as domain name service, DNS. It specifically maps any IP address to the proper name. Okay, so again these are not important for me. Okay, we have something called as java.net package. Okay, so with reference to Java, I'm talking about all these things. Okay, we have java.net package which talks about networking connectivity or networking issues related in Java are done using java.net. So there are n number of classes that are available in .NET package. The one which is more useful or the one which I will be using in the programming, only those things I'll be discussing. Rest all, because many are there, you cannot concentrate. Okay, there is something called as cookie handler. Okay, which talks about managing of a cookie. Okay, when I start with the next unit, this I will be covering in detail. Okay, and we have something called as a cache request, cache response. This is mainly useful for storing some data into the cache, extracting some data from the cache. Okay, then we have something called as datagram packet. This talks about UDP connection. Datagram packet, datagram socket, they are useful for the UDP connection. Okay, then I have HTTP cookie. This is more commonly used to, if you want to store any data as a cookie, which can be extracted very easily, conveniently, without having a request sent to the server. Locally, if you want to store so that you can extract every now and then you can go for what is called as cookie or a session. Okay, so we will be dealing with cookies and sessions in detail in the coming days. Just 1 minute, you have to give me 1 minute of time because I have to unlock the meeting. Okay. Yeah. Now, we have something called as INET4 address. Okay, about this we will be discussing in the coming slides. So for now, let me just conclude these classes. We have something called as datagram packet. We have something called as datagram socket. We have something called as HTTP cookie. We have something called as session management. Okay, we have something called as cookie handler, cache request, cache response. These are the very important classes that we will be using in the coming classes. Okay, so okay, this I will skip. Yeah. So before I get into what is this class INET address, or before we get into Java related INET address, let us just discuss from your end, what do you mean by INET address if you have come across this before? Can anybody?
Ma'am, may I try?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, are you talking about class of IP address like A, B, C, and D?
INET address, it is a collection of all the things. It's not only that class that we are talking about. It also talks about the host name, the IP address. It contains everything actually. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
let me just give a brief note on this. See, this INET address, it talks about internet address. I stands for internet address. So when you have a look at, or when you have a clear look at any connection in any network, whenever two things are communicating, both the parties which are involved in the communication, they have to first of all know each other. They have to first of all know each other. See, it's a human behavior. Whenever two people meet, they greet each other knowingly or unknowingly. But if you want to have a communication established, you want to continue the communication, you should know each other. Okay, so say hello hi packet. Initially it is hello hi packet. When hello hi packet is established, next task is, before continuing with the next kind of message transferring, each of them whoever is involved in the communication, they should know each other by their name. Okay, they should know each other by their name or by some unique identification. For instance, if you take an example of your own class, when you entered your third semester, okay, third semester, for the first day, most of your faces were so familiar because you have seen them somewhere in the college during your first year college. Now, you will smile and stop first day. Second day, third day, fourth day, if you want to have a communication done, definitely you should know each other by your name or USN. or roll number. That USN roll number, it talks about the ID. The name talks about the host name. Okay, so each of the participants in the communication must know each other by either their host name or by what is called as IP address. All these things are bundled up in a class called INET address. Okay, so when you want to know in that particular networking area who all are participating, then you use what is called as INET address. Okay, how this INET address has to be used in case of Java. Java supports one special kind of class called as factory classes. What are these factory classes? See, before I continue with this new word factory class, let me ask you one straightforward question. You have n number of classes in Java. In any object-oriented programming, you have n number of classes. If you want to have extraction of any function or any kind of specific related data from that class, what is the way you will extract? Through some means you will extract. Through what you will extract? You have a class containing many functions or data available in it. If you want to have accessibility to the content of that class, through what means you will have the accessibility?
Ma'am, can you do it through inheritance?
Need not be an inheritance. It is an object. The entry point, yeah, Prarthana and Somshekhar, both of you are right. You talk about an entry point, that entry point is called as an object. Through an object, you have the accessibility. Okay, so it is mandatory to have an object created. Through what? How do you create an object of a class? What is the mean? Through what? Simple question it is. A basic simple question it is. How do you create an object of a class? Using class name. Do you create it by using class name? Whenever you want to have an object created, normally we use a new keyword, and new is associated with what? Yes, I know it is class name, but what class name concludes? It's a constructor of the class. Yes, you are right, Varun. Okay, it's a constructor of the class. So whenever we want to have an accessibility point, that accessibility point is created by what is called as default constructor of any class. So the means of accessibility is an object, and object of any class is created by the default constructor of that particular class. Correct? So this is the normal way of doing. What I will do? I have a class created, or I will create my own class. Keep it, and that class object is created with the use of default constructor of that particular class. This is a normal way of doing. Then what I will do? I will use that object dot any function that you want to access. Object dot anything that you want to access from that class. Definitely it goes perfectly all right. There is an extra feature of Java, which is a special feature of Java, which talks about I don't want to create an object. I'm not at all interested in creating any object. Instead, what I will do, I will use the class name followed by dot followed by the name of the member of the class which I want to extract. So I think you have seen it before also. Class dot for name when I write in database connectivity, if you can remember. Class dot for name when I write, it talks about name of the class dot the member of the class that you want to have the accessibility. This kind of feature that is supported by Java, it is called as factory classes, where there is no exactly creation of an object. Instead, the name of the class itself is used to have the accessibility of the members of that particular class. Such a class is called as factory class. Okay. So when you want to have such kind of things available, inet address is one such class which is called as factory class. Factory class means if I call the name of the class, that internally implicitly creates an instance of it, and that instance doesn't have any name particularly. Every time you want to have the accessibility, call that class name dot followed by the name of the function. Are you getting this? So inet address is one such example of factory class. This supports many functions available. Okay. So before I proceed with the slide, when I talk about inet address, it talks about host name, it talks about what is the IP address, it talks about all the different names that are provided to that particular host name. Okay, I call it as alias names. All those things are being provided by this inet address. Then why it is required? Can anybody comment why this inet address class is required?
Ma'am,
You can have a wild guess. Yeah.
ma'am, in terms of network, if you say कि inet address is required so that the packets or the information should reach to the correct address.
Correct. You want to know what is the name of the destination? What is the name of the destination to which this packet has to reach? Okay. So when I have such a kind of things going on, I require what is called as the personality or the name and the ID of the destination to which the packet has to be destined. Okay. In order to have that, I have something called as inet address. So what this inet address supports? Let's just go ahead. Again, these things I'll be skipping because we have already covered it. Okay. I have a question. Let me just read it. If we need multiple instances of very good question. Okay. Uh, what Somsekhar has asked, if we need multiple instances of the same factory class, okay, how does it differentiate? See, the factory class talks about create an instance, use it, then go for creation of one more instance. Okay, so you have a clear distinction there. Whenever you call the same function again with the function will differ. The instances are differed by the call of the function. Okay, so whenever you call that particular function two times, second time when you call the same function, it indicates that you are creating one more instance. I hope I have answered your question, Somsekhar. Okay, thank you. Now, so these all things I have already covered. So different functions that are available in the factory in the inet address class. Let's just go ahead. There's something called as get localhost, get by name, and get all by name. Okay. There is also associated along with this something called as get host name. Other than these three, I have one more called as get host name. Um, so let me take up get localhost, get host name. Can anybody comment how a local host is different from host name? Have you worked on localhost anytime? Yes, guys. Okay, let me read out the comments that is made. Okay, Anant has commented localhost is an instance of server on your machine. Exactly correct. Prarthana, localhost is on our computer itself. This is also right. So whenever you want to have the what mirror image of the server, but not actually the server on your own machine, if you want to have a pseudo server kind of thing, okay, wherein you can store the data, extract the data locally, okay, that kind of attachment that is available in any networking, it is called as localhost. Okay, so in that localhost, what is the name of the host upon which you are working? That indicates the host name. Okay, and okay, say suppose I have given a host name as the input, with that particular host name, what all are the different names that are associated? Host name indicates, say, www.google.com. If I give, in that, what all are the different addresses that are associated with google.com? Okay, that talks about get all name. Get by name, it indicates the name of the host which is right now attached to that particular google.com. Localhost, it is a local server. Okay, now let's just get into this. Okay, um, let me just show you one example. I hope this is visible to you. Please let me know. I hope this is visible to you. Yeah, thank you. Now I will just uncomment this. For checking, I had commented that. Okay. Now, according to the explanation that is done, I have written three functions, one for the get localhost, another for get host name, and another for get host address. It talks about taking the IP address of the host name that is given. Okay, let me just run this. Just have a look at this. Localhost, it talks about the machine with which I have connected. Okay, the machine with which I have connected to the name that I have supplied over here. Okay, now host name will be the name that I have supplied for INET address. Okay, I'm so sorry, I have skipped this. Just pay attention to this part, how I have called this get by name function. It talks about inet address dot get by name. So I have not created any kind of object for calling get by name. This is called as factory usage or factory class, where I can use the name of the class itself as the object. Okay, of course this generates an object which I can use very well for get localhost. Okay, I think Somshekhar, whatever question you had asked, this clarifies that. Whenever you want to use get by name, you use what is called as inet address dot get by name. If I use one more time inet address dot get by name, it means what? I am reinstantiating the things. Okay. Now, using the object that has been created by calling get by name, I will call three functions. I have called here three different functions. One talks about localhost. It talks about locally what is the name of the host which is connected to google.com. Okay. Then go get host name. It is the host name that is supplied to get by name. Then what is the IP address of that? Okay. So according to this, INET address gives me the name of the host, the IP address. That is the only use of INET address, nothing else other than that. Nothing else other than that. Okay. So let me just go back. Yeah. Yeah. We have been talking about two different kinds of communications. One is called as UDP and another called as TCP. When I talk about UDP, it talks about what is called as user datagram protocol, which talks about connectionless protocol. Okay, or I call it as best effort service. We have discussed about it in the previous class. Okay. 1 minute. I'm not able to see again the minimizing window. Why this happens, I don't know. Okay, let's see. I cannot see the minimizing window. Guys, if you have any comments, please read it out. Okay. Yeah. Now, which I will deal with what is called as TCP/IP sockets today. Then we have something called as UDP sockets. Okay, what all are these sockets when I talk about TCP sockets? When I talk anything about TCP sockets, it talks about end-to-end communication, or I can call it as a reliable communication. Um, okay, by any means you have come across there is something called as three-way handshake in TCP. Please let me know from your end.
Ma'am, in
Yeah.
TCP we have learned, as I told.
Ankit, your voice is breaking.
Now am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So in that TCP, ma'am, we have learned about that two-way, ma'am. Like it is reliable. Means when the packet is sent, it acknowledges whether it has been reached in correct means correct order or not, or if any packets has been lost. That is the
Hmm.
acknowledgement. Two-way, ma'am.
Okay, I think probably you're talking about the communication that is going on. But before the communication start, there is something called as three-way handshake in TCP. Okay, let me just briefly tell about it. We have two ends, A and B. Okay, A and B, before actually starting the sending of packets, the data packets that are required, whoever is the source, that source will send a ping message to B. Okay, that ping message, when it reaches B, it just acknowledges it with an acknowledgement. Okay, so I call it as sync message. That sync message has an acknowledgement, and acknowledgement has one more acknowledgement. It goes like this: A sends a testing message to B. B sends a acknowledgement to that particular testing message, and A in turn sends an acknowledgement to acknowledgement. It is called as AACK. Okay, we call ACK, and there is something called as AACK. So this is called as three-way handshake. In three ways, the communication gets established before sending actual message between the two parties that are being involved. That's why the TCP becomes so much reliable. Before I could start sending my message, actual message, what I will make sure is I will ensure that the other party who is receiving my message is definitely up, and I will ensure that party also that I am also up. Okay, so how this goes on: first, A sends a test message to B, B acknowledges it, and A re-acknowledges to the acknowledgement. This is called three-way handshake of TCP. Okay, and that's why we call it as reliable. And I have written it as bidirectional. Reason why it is bidirectional? Both ways the acknowledgement goes. Okay, that's why it is called three-way handshake. Then I call it as point persistent. How, what is the meaning of persistent data, or what is the meaning of persistent communication? Can anybody comment on this? Yes? No answer? Any data, I call it as persistent data, or any communication channel that is established is called as persistent only when it just reliable, it just keeps its communication on until and unless both the parties agree to disconnect it. Both the parties will agree to disconnect it. Okay. For the ending session also in the TCP, A sends ending session to B, B acknowledges it, and A in turn re-acknowledges it. That's why it is called as persistent communication. It talks about all the three channels, all the two channels are active enough to have a two bidirectional communication every time. Okay. Then we have something called as socket for the communication to be completed. And when I talk about a socket, it is a unique identification number that is available for that particular communication. Once that communication ends, that socket also goes in vain. It means that gets released. Java is a garbage collector. Even if you don't release that socket, if it is not useful for longer time, that socket number will be released to the socket pool, so that the same socket number can be useful for some other application. Okay, now when I have a socket that is getting established, the kind of the socket, that is also very important. There are two types of sockets based on the kind of the communication that I want to have, or based on the port on which I want to work on. Definitely, I want to work on what is called as HTTP, which gives me two communication ways. One is called as TCP and the other called as UDP. When I talk about TCP, I call it as TCP socket. When I call it as UDP, I talk about what is called as UDP socket. Two different are there. Whenever I have a TCP socket, socket talks about two-way communication. Every time I require an acknowledgement, until and unless the socket receives the acknowledgement, it never sends the further packets. Unlike as I compare it with UDP, UDP is unidirectional. It just talks about I will send, it is up to you whether you receive or don't receive. Okay, so the socket associated with the communication also will depend upon the kind of the communication that you are getting involved into. If the socket number that I'm using right now is associated with TCP, definitely I call it as TCP socket. And if the socket is associated with unreliable communication, then I call it as UDP socket. Then the same socket number, even though I'm using the same socket number for both the things, how do they differ between TCP and UDP? It is totally the kind of the function or the kind of the class that I'm associating with that particular socket that decides whether it is a TCP socket or a UDP socket. Okay. Now, we have two different types of TCP sockets. One is called as a server socket, and see, whenever I talk about types of sockets, I always talk about the classes that are involved in Java. Okay, all these things are with reference to the Java connection, Java communication, networkings. Okay, when I talk about TCP socket, see, there are two kinds of sockets. One is called as UDP socket and the other called as TCP socket. Now I'll be talking about TCP sockets. And upon this, we will be having one or two programs. Then we will go ahead with UDP sockets. So when I want to have TCP sockets created in a Java program, I have two different classes, socket classes. The two classes decide what kind of socket I'm going to create in the program. When I use simple server socket class, I talk about a TCP socket. And when I talk about datagram socket, instead of this server socket, if I use datagram socket indicates UDP socket. The socket number that gets associated with this particular class, or this class which generates a socket number, that number indicates either it is a TCP socket or UDP socket based on the kind of the class that I'm using. If I use server socket, it is a TCP socket. If I use datagram socket, it talks about UDP socket. The same number is used in both the ways. Okay. And I have something called as socket class, which talks about various functions that are associated in sending and receiving the data. I have something called as read, I have something called as write. Okay, when I talk about read and write, reading is nothing but listening to others. Reading is nothing but listening to others or waiting for somebody else to send me the data. Write means making somebody else to wait for me. So socket class provides two very important functions. One is called as a read and another is called as a write. Whenever reading is there, there is a need for read socket associated. Whenever I'm writing, there is a need for write socket associated. It means what? For every communication to go on, there is a requirement of two ends. Two ends are in such a manner that both the ends must have sockets. Both the ends must have sockets. Okay. Say server, this is the client. Server must have a read socket as well as a write socket. And client the client must have a read socket and the write socket. So for the same communication to go on, there has to be two kinds of sockets per communication on each end. One called the read socket, another called the write socket. So whenever you want to have a bi-directional thing established, at a time two things are going. Definitely there has to be two different ends who are receiving or sending the data. And when there are two different ends, I am talking about two different kind of sockets that are available. One called the read socket, another called the write socket. So when I talk about read socket, write socket, there are totally how many sockets associated in a single communication of TCP? Can you quickly comment? With this kind of explanation that I have done, how many number of sockets are required for a single communication to go on in a TCP? Can anybody quickly comment on this? You can just guess on this.
Port number 80.
Port is 80. Definitely port is 80 because TCP works on HTTP. 100% correct. But I'm talking about sockets. Socket is different from port, Ankit.
2.
Two are enough. It is bidirectional, Ankit. You just imagine like this. I am sending a message to you. Okay, I'm sending a message to you. When I'm sending a message, I should have what is called as a write socket, and you should have a socket called as a read socket. In turn, when I'm typing my message, you will be typing from your end. So from your end, you should require what is called as a write socket. And when I'm typing parallelly, I should have what is called as read socket. So how many sockets in total? 4 it is. 2 per end. Server requires a write socket as well as read socket. Client also requires read socket as well as write socket. All of you are right. Okay. Many have commented four sockets are required. Definitely it is correct. 2 on one end, 2 on another end. This is required for the bi-directional communication. If it is unidirectional, it means what? I will send, you will receive. Until you receive, you will not be sending. So if you want to have a parallel communication done, then I require how many sockets? 4 sockets in total, 2 on each side. 2 on each side in such a manner that one acts as the writing socket, another acts as a reading socket. Is this clear, or any other doubt you have at this point in time?
It's clear.
It's clear. Okay. So, okay, right now you just think that you have two different classes available, one called as server socket, another called as socket. And each of these socket classes will yield one socket number, that is the initial socket number with which the communication gets established. When we write the first ever program using all these things, you will come to know about these things. Okay, right now we are talking about only theoretical stuffs. Please don't bother about the programming part right now. Now, okay. When I talk about a socket class, we have talked about two classes that are available. One is called as server socket and another called as socket. So before I proceed ahead, guys, can you just do me a favor for my next class? I just want one of you to explain me the communication done on TCP, how the communication is done if I have a server and a client. What all are the different steps that are involved in completing a communication in a TCP fashion between a server and a client? Can somebody take it and explain this concept for 5 minutes before the start of my next class?
I I can do it.
Ankit, is it Ankit? I cannot see, guys. I'm so sorry for that. Yeah, you will be doing it?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in my next class, when I begin, you just have to explain me with the diagram, okay, how the communication steps are taken care in TCP and how the communication steps are taken care in UDP, so that we can directly go ahead with the explanation of the program related to that. Can you do that,
Ma'am,
Ankit? Yep.
I have with me now only, ma'am.
Pardon?
Ma'am, that part I have with me now only.
Now only, but now time is not there, Ankit. Okay? So before my next class, Ankit will take TCP. Somebody else from your end who can take UDP?
I can take UTP, ma'am.
Who it is?
Anant.
Anand. Okay. Well and good. So next class we will have for 10 or 15 minutes. Only 15 minutes, guys. Not more than that. Don't take much time of mine. So in 10 or 15 minutes, Anant and Ankit will be explaining about TCP and UDP working. Will that be fine?
Ma'am, are you asking about that only, na? HTTP client and
Yes. I can explain TCP as socket TCP programming. To hear you. Hear you.
issue is there from your side.
Okay, now is it okay? Can you hear me now?
Network issue is there from your side. Yeah, now okay.
Okay. Yes, tell me.
Yeah, I was asking ma'am ki you need that only na ma'am ki how what are the steps how HTTP client and this server communicates and what is that HTTP TCP comes there that only na?
Correct. Correct. I want it to be
I will explain.
explained for TCP. I want it to be explained for UDP.
Okay, I will explain that for TCP.
Yes. And Anant will be explaining it for UDP. Okay. Shall we
Yes,
end
ma'am.
for now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all. Hello. ಈಗ ಮುಗಿತು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ ಹಾಂ 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 ವೆನ್ಸ್ಡೇ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗಾ ಓಕೆ 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 ಹೇಳಿದ್ರ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರ ಓಕೆ 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 ಡನ್ ಡನ್ ನೈಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏಳುವರೆ ಹಾಂ ಚಲೋ ಆತ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾಳೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊಂಟಿದ್ದೆ ರಿಸೆಪ್ಷನ್ ಹಾಂ ಚಲೋ ಆತ ವೆನ್ಸ್ಡೇ ಇಸ್ ಓಕೆ ನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಓಕೆ ಆರಾಮಿದ್ದೀರಿ ತೋ ತಲೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟೋತ ಹಾಂ 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 ಏನು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹಾಂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹಾಂ ಹೌದು ಅದೇ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದೇ ಸೊಕ್ಕ ಮ್ಯಾಗಿಂದ ಹ್ಞೂ ಹೌದು ಇಬ್ಬರನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಾರೆ ಅದು ಮತ್ತ ಒಬ್ಬರಲ್ಲ ಹಾ ನಾ ಅಂದೇನಿ ನಿಮಗಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನದ ಅದ ಇಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕ ಹಾ 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 ಹ್ಮ್